Of course, this experience can be a bit overwhelming, studying in a foreign country. So now let's look at what you should do in Australia. I have a few tips. First, you should prepare for culture shock. Has anyone here experienced culture shock? Any culture shock? You're smiling. Have you experienced culture shock?
Yes.
Yes? Tell me about it.
When I went to Scotland, like people in Scotland, you know the sign.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. That's a good one. Anyone else experience culture shock? No one has ever been to a foreign country for more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks? You're smiling. Yes, you have?
Actually, I was in Sydney for this summer vacation, and when I was on train in Sydney, people throw the garbage, lavish, away
On the train?
Yes.
Yeah, well, some Australians are not greatest. They're not the greatest. Sometimes. Okay, but you sure that's a good example. I also, when I was 17 years old, I traveled to the UK, to England, Scotland, for 3 months. It was wonderful. Great things to see, to do. But after 3 months, I was very ready to go back home, right? Of course, I miss my family, my friends. It's very difficult to be away from home a long time, okay? Okay, so I'm going to continue. We are going to say, generally, there are 4 phases of culture shock. The timing is different for each person. You may go from loving Australia and feeling very lonely and homesick, sometimes depressed. Remember, this is not like an overseas vacation. You're going to be living and studying in a foreign location for a long time, so you should try to get used to it. To deal with culture shock, you should learn as much as possible about your new location, right? For example, the climate, the temperature, the food, the political system, the culture, the customs, and especially the language. Especially the language. Who do I have? I need another person. Is this your friend here? Yes. You're not her friend? Okay. Let's see. Who do I have? You, miss. Are you planning to go to Australia? Do you know where?
I want to go to
Brisbane. Do you know what the temperature is like in winter? You don't know? Maybe you should research. It's kind of important. Let's see, who's an older guy? Mr. Scotland. Mr. Scotland, where are you going in Australia?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay. Do you know anything about Melbourne? Not so much. Do you drink beer? A little bit. Do you know what kind of beer Australians like to drink? You should find out. It's very important. Right? It's very important to learn about the new culture you're going to. Right? Helps you to fit in easier. Okay. You should also, of course, try to be more open-minded, willing to learn, ask questions. Try to maintain your sense of humor because, sometimes some things will be stressful. Remember, not to withdraw. Don't hide in your room. You have to go out and experience the culture. Travel in the country. Go to cultural events and locations such as museums and historical sites. There are lots of things to see in Australia. It's a big place, very big place. Try to make new friends. Stay active, eat well, and get enough sleep. Bring photos of your friends and your family and try to keep in touch with your friends and family back here in Japan. Okay? So, second, you should try to make a weekly and monthly calendar to organize yourself. Set priorities, what's most important, and second and third. All right? You should also find a study buddy or a group to practice your speaking skills. You will find that most people will be willing to help you if you are sincere about improving. You should try to make new friends. Very important. Fourth, use university resources for international students. Almost every university, that's not true, every university has resources for international students. They include writing labs, note-taking courses, study skills, and research skills. Fifth, you should focus on your weaknesses. If writing is your weakness, then go to the university writing lab. I started university at the University of Toronto when I was 24, which is not so unusual for Canada. In one of my classes, there was a retired person also starting university. And of course, it was 6 years since I'd written an essay. So I went to the university writing lab to get some tips. So of course, the instructor told me some things that I'm going to share with you today. My first mark as an undergraduate was an A. I've gone on to teach writing at universities here in Japan. I'm also published in Canada in magazines and newspapers here in Japan. So, if it's useful for me, I think it would be useful for you. All right? So, now let's look at the necessary academic skills you will need at an Australian university. As international students whose first language is not English, success can be challenging. In lectures, the important thing is note-taking. Always come prepared with a pen, paper, PC, or a tablet. Most students these days take notes using a personal computer or a tablet. Remember that notes should be taken only in English, if possible, and that the instructor will be speaking at normal speed, slightly faster than how I'm speaking now. Okay? Remember that you should be answering WH questions when taking notes. Also be sure to note important key concepts and supporting detail when taking your notes, such as symbols, using plus, minus, equals. Eliminate pronouns, for example, they, these, and that. When I introduced myself, I gave answers to the question, what? As in, what is the subject? My self-introduction. Who? My name. Where? Where I'm from. Where I studied. And how long. I've been an English teacher, how long I've been in Japan. Right? These note-taking techniques are useful for almost all students, native English speakers and non-native English speakers. Okay? Also remember, you shouldn't be afraid to ask questions for clarification. Many students will have the same questions that you do. Okay? So,